Hello, my name is Heidi Marja, and you are now listening to my podcast, Love, Joy, and Heartset. I'm so grateful that you are listening to my podcast. I'm grateful for all the wonderful people that I meet and that I get to know when I'm interviewing them. I have got the amazing experience to interview people from all over the world about spirituality, about love, and their mission in life. Today, I am so happy to have my guest of the day. So enjoy. Hi, I'm so happy to have you with me, Jennifer. Can you please introduce yourself and tell a little bit about you?
I am just as honored and blessed to be here. I love these lifetimes, I should say, honestly, and that not even knowing what to expect each day with the good and the bad, right? The pain with purpose. There's also this unbelievable blessing to be connected across the globe like this.
Yeah.
So my name is Jennifer Kupcho. Most of my friends and clients refer to me as Jen. So somehow that became my tagline. Like, my name is Jennifer Kupcho. My friends call me Jen. So
Oh.
I think, yeah, you know what? I think that was important for me because to me there was a distinction between comfort. I don't know if this is for you either, and I'll finish introducing myself, but my given name is Jennifer, and I love my given name, but for a comfort value, my closer friends would call me Jen. You know, it was a very comfortable and connected and intimate nickname. And so I think when I started to be led by spirit, introduce myself that way, it was on purpose to say, I'm inviting you into my space. I'm inviting you to be intimate with me in a very sacred way. And as much as someone else wouldn't know that, that's the first time I've actually spoken to this to understand that's how that became my byline. And my friends call me Jen. So you're invited in. And so I invite you in, and I am a spiritual mindset coach and mentor and leader. I am currently writing a book. I have produced, co-created 4 different decks of inspirational messages, angel messages, cards, affirmations for all different. They're all very, very different, and they reflect where I am in my life, what I've allowed to flow through me with spirit. Some are very bold and powerful and moving us in a direction of change. Others are very much like a hug and a comfort. You're okay, keep going. And so when I look back at how the cards were created, they were exactly where I was able to receive and what I was able to receive. And so that's where I'm at. I am 7 years into coaching, create women's retreats. I'm also Reiki master. I don't like labels, but they're important to know where we're coming from and what we've been drawn to, right? So I share that more as what I've been drawn to in my life. So I am a Reiki master for Angel Reiki. I am Holy Fire 3, Reiki 1 and 2. I am an angelic light healer certified, and bring that into a lot of my practice. I am truly, and I'm holding this, I'm stepping into this, I channel with an angelic realm. It's called the host. That's what was shown to me.
Wow.
And I am stepping into who I've always been, just as we all are, right? It's truly allowing that we are a vessel and remembering who we are as we walk through this. So this is enlightenment to me. This is exciting to make connections, authentic connections.
Yes, so nice to have you here. And what drove you to the path of spirituality, and do you have any memories from your childhood that you can remember?
I love that question. I am by religion, if you want to say, which is very different from spirituality. I am Roman Catholic. I have grown up Roman Catholic. I went to Catholic school till 6th grade. We've always practiced, if you want to say that. My husband, his uncle, is a priest who is very, very grounded in true, what I call spirituality,
Mm,
over the dogma of religion. He married us. He has baptized both of my children. He's a godfather to one. He is funny. He is real. My daughter's first communion, I don't know how much you know about that. She was all prepared for it. She was in 1st grade, and for the white dress and all of that. But we were on a Disney cruise that he had brought us to, my husband's family. And it was about a week before he would be coming to my daughter's communion to be part
mm,
of, he was going to be as a priest, giving out communion. And I said to him, because he had to give mass every night in the room, that as a priest, that's what you do. So we'd run in our bathing suits and cover-ups, and squish into his little, cabin, which were the 5 most beautiful masses I've ever had. It was the most real,
mm,
authentically showing up, as yourself. No, you must dress this certain way or act. We're sitting on a bed and all, crimson. And I said, can you give her her communion today? Because she was prepped for all that. It was the
mm,
next week, which was a pretty white dress and all that. He said, I was hoping you'd ask. So she got her real, true communion receiving of
mm,
Christ in a bathing suit, in a cover up, on the Disney cruise with this
mm,
beautiful man, right? And the following week, he came with all her, the pomp and circumstance. But to me, I was raised, so I'll take that to go back. My mom was Catholic. My dad was Greek Orthodox, but we were
mm,
raised in the Catholic faith. And I always said, and I don't even know why until now, we were more spiritual than religious.
mm,
It wasn't held within the church. My mom
mm,
talked about angels all the time. I saw books out on the table, um, even some books about past lives. I remember, what's her name? Something Brown, I think her name was. And I'd ask about that. She's like, well, that's not really part of the faith, but she had a desire to
mm,
know more. So she kind of gave me, if you want to say, the permission to see that it wasn't taboo,
mm,
along with the structural foundation of Catholicism. There
mm,
was more opening. And I can remember probably I would have dreams, lucid dreams. When I was young, I would wake up in different places. I sleptwalked a lot. I would sleepwalk in my
mm,
sleep. But I think probably the youngest that this is how I know without having to try to convince someone else. I was probably around 7 or 8, and I would get this massive ringing in my ears, which I do now still too.
mm,
And I remember thinking and speaking to angels and saying, I hear you, but I don't understand what you're saying. I can't understand you when you talk. Oh, I get emotional thinking about it.
mm,
When you talk that way.
mm,
And so I didn't even know what that was, but that was probably my first of many things of knowing that there was more, but I couldn't understand them in that frequency.
mm. Wow, that's so powerful. And you were talking about the ringing in your ears. Um, is it like, uh, um, how can you describe the sound?
To me, I know a lot of people always talk about tinnitus, all of that, and I know that that exists. My master's is actually in deaf education. Aside from what I've lived my whole life, my master's is in deaf education, so I work with students who with sign, who are deaf, who had different hearing losses, different levels of hearing loss. I know a lot about audiology, so it's not, some people will say, well, that's just a ringing in the ears. It's a hearing loss, or it's an interruption. I said, I know what that is. I know, but I also know what the feeling was, right?
Mm,
And so people can be in a spectrum of what is bothersome to you or what
mm,
you tune into. And there are times where it feels annoying. I will literally say, tone it back, bring it back. It's too much. I almost get a vision because I get a lot of visuals of the best way I can explain it is when I receive that, and it's this frequency that I can't have words to. It's like when you would get, what do they call that, shearing the sheep, and you get all that wool, right? And it has to get spun. So all that mush, that wool gets spun into the yarn, and then that gets created into beautiful sweaters or
Yeah.
jackets, or right. So you take that big confusing mess of wool, and then you spin it into one thread that can be created into a variety of items, right? So I know there's so much coming in at one time. It just sounds like ringing. Sometimes I'll actually get one side will go almost mute, and the other side will ring, so it changes sides sometimes. But when it comes, I'll say in my head, that's lovely, but I cannot interpret that. You need to speak to me in a different way. You need to come to my frequency.
Wow. It is so interesting that you are talking about this, because I have started to getting message down, and yes, and for me, when I was a little child, it was like ringing in my ears, but also like that sound in my ears, and I could see now I'm not like round circles in
like orbs, colors.
Yes,
orbs, like a lightish.
yes, like in different kinds of colors. And when I was, this was when I was 13, 14 years old, and then I had really bad headache, so I was really much home. But now I have understand that it was the angel that was trying to connect with me.
100%. And I'm nodding and laughing, because not laughing. I have worked with and through, I don't like to say the word struggled, migraine headaches my whole life. From the time that I started, maybe I can remember my first being maybe 5 or 6 years old. And I remember the doctor saying to my parents, kids don't get headaches. That was like, the kids don't get headaches. I'm like, really? When I'd go to bed and be in bed for 12 hours. So I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
to just be able to sleep it off, because they would hand me, I don't know what you have where you are, but we would have like, what was it? St. Joseph's Children's aspirin. I remember where you could chew it and it tasted like orange, and they did nothing, like nothing for the pain that would come. Ice, but it was just sleep, and there was no other treatment. And now we know differently from neurologists and stuff, but at the time there was no treatment, and I would just be in bed sometimes for hours. The whole day would go by, and I'd wake up and finally it would be gone, right? And this has been throughout my life. I actually 3 years ago started to go to a spiritual therapist, and we did some past life regression. And part of my purpose was I wanted to see how to work with these migraines in a better way. It was actually part of the reason why I went to my own life coach about 8 years ago now. We've been traveling together. And part of my reasoning is I wanted to get off some heavy daily medication I had been on for the migraines. And I felt like there was a better way. And my better way was being open and knowing how to receive, just as you're talking about, to let that flow through. It was such a big, I don't know how you say, like such a big energy that as my body I was not knowing how to receive it.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And are you having migraines now, or is it?
They have changed very much. Now, I do know that changes also hormonally, chemically, and there are certain ways that I was triggered more so in different cycles, like certain cycles of my life, as a female. Weather could do that. But when I started going to my coach, this is the first thing I remember. And he's so different than me. I'm so feminine, and he's so masculine, but he has a very spiritual side. But his name is Rob. He's bald. He's, like this. He always calls
Yeah.
himself a meathead. I said, no, you're not. You are very connected. And otherwise I wouldn't have found him, right? But when I had met him and he was asking me what brought me in and different things that I thought were bringing me in, there were many other, because we can't compartmentalize ourselves. Everything is one, right? As we shift one thing, something else moves. And he said, so what brings you here? And I explained a couple things, and I said, well, I'm a migraine sufferer. And I had introduced myself as a migraine sufferer.
Yeah.
And so he said, well, what does that look like? And I started to explain to him all the different things and what my life was like. And he said, oh, interesting. I've never met a migraine sufferer. Now, I wasn't picking up that he was being sarcastic at first. And I'm like, oh, really? Because I've met a lot of people that are migraine sufferers. And so we're nearly having two different conversations. It took me a while to realize that he was showing me that I had embodied and taken on this role, that's who I was. And I was very invested in this, I'm a migraine sufferer. And I didn't realize that at all. Even when I would come together, and I look at it differently now, when I would connect with someone else, right, who has migraines, oh my God, me too. Oh, and we would tell our horror stories.
Yes.
Right? Our stories that we've gone through. And I understand, because it's a form of connection, because you feel like someone else gets me. I'm not crazy. But we give so much power to that story instead of finding connection. Well, how are you dealing with it now, right? You just asked me that beautiful question.
Yeah.
Do you have as many now? You weren't asking, that's the healthy way, right? You weren't asking, well, what was the worst? You're asking, do you have them still now? What's changed, right? That's a beautiful lead into, it's not who I am. It was just a piece of me.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, that's really good to hear. And I can relate to what you are saying, because I had so much pain in my body. I had pelvis pain, and I had pain like all over the body. And I was also like saying, I have pelvis pain, and introduce myself as the victim of that pain. So I understand completely where you are coming from. And that's why I think that I said that to you like that, because I have been there, but I'm not there anymore.
Even consciously, right? So you are aware, it was probably the closing of retreat. I'm going into my 5th women's retreat that I host this fall. And so it might've been the 3rd that we were closing. And in closing ceremony, we always make a commitment, because a retreat for me is not hiding. It's not retreating from life. It's retreating into ourselves to then what will we bring back to our lives, once you go back. And then I follow up with the women a couple months later, and we have a couple phone calls, and where are we at? So anyway, in closing circle, somehow it came up as we, made a commitment to ourselves. It might've been me. I don't remember, because we all tend to blend after a while, to, not stay small, to do self-love and self-healing, and to choose, I think that's what it was, to choose to be proactive in our health, because most of the time we are dealing with the after. I know from here in the United States, medicine is always, and I'm so happy we have it, but we're always trying to treat the symptoms instead of treating health, going in beforehand, and what do we need? And in that conversation, what came up for all of us, and we all were like, yes, we were kind of like raising our hands like, me too. We realized that we received something beautiful, and I'm going to say this in a strange way, from being sick. And so we talked about what had it given us throughout our lives. And some of us was staying home and having a little extra attention from mom, right? Not having to, maybe the teacher released us from some work that we had to do at school. Like, we didn't plan it this way, but there were added perks that came along with it. You know, a time to shut down. You know, we weren't expected to do as much. Even as an adult, you know, being home from, I can't do that. I have the flu, or I have COVID, or I have, you know, whatever. I can't do that. I physically can't do that. With my migraines, I realized that part of it was my full-on shutdown. I could not function. And there was no way. So it was my time to actually, I can't answer your phone calls. My shades are down. It's dark in the room. I can't function. And so I started thinking, like, well, what if I did that and chose that for myself before I got to a place of dis-ease? Because obviously I'm looking for the ease. I want to get there before I'm in dis-ease, right? Disease. And so we talked about that. We all recognize the fact that as women, especially, we're, you know, with a mother or the caretaker or the wife, and we'll just push through. How often do we do that? Every single month with cycles. We joke about how men could not, you know, deal with that, but we get up, deal with all of the bodily functions during that cycle, right? Whether it be ovulation or the, you know, as we're losing the egg, right? All the different parts, and there's a lot of physical that we just push through. We never work with our cycles, like really work with our cycles. In the past, you talked about the red tent. I don't know if you've ever read that book. And the women used to cycle to, women cycled together. It was community. And during that time, you would have generations who you would cycle. That's why we get on the same cycles, right? And they would tell stories during that time. They would rest during that time. That was the time for coming down. That was not a strenuous time. That wasn't on the uplift where you're much more energetic and you've got creative ideas, right? And so we looked at it and we thought, wow, we need to shift this as women, not just about our cycle, but about choosing times where we just are at rest. And we become in an ease before we get to dis-ease.
Yes. And that's so important. And also when we are slowing down and calm us down and understand how much the menstrual cycle is affecting us. And if we understand that we have to take it more slowly in the days before the period, and then we can, after that, do more.
Yes.
It's a whole new way of living.
And we've really moved away from that but we're moving again. We're shifting again. You know, I always say I'm not a feminist. I'm a humanist. You know, I see what the masculine has gone through. You know, in our men, there has been such silencing. We like to say a lot of times as women, we've been silenced, and we have, but so have men, from their own emotions, right? From their own connection to themselves, because you've got to be like this. This is what you must be. And then for years, women have gone through trying to be in business and doing it in the masculine way, the hustle, the push.
Yes.
You know, I must work through. But we're starting to get out of that patriarchal and understand and remember that there's a beauty in the flow. You know, obviously we need structure and the linear of the masculine too, but we're bringing back the feminine, that we don't have to do it in business suits, and it may be taking a day. Look at how many more women are now working like this, how we're doing, right? In a flow, and being able to choose that and honor the systems that we've been given, the cycles. We're cycles. Nature is cycles, right? Our water cycle, our monthly, you know, the moon, you know, we're created by cycles. So why do we keep trying to fight it?
Yes, I'm so, I agree with you there. And that is what I'm doing. I'm helping women to learn more to be in the feminine, because we have been more in the masculine, and we have, what has happened then the men had to be more like feminine to start to get to be with a woman. But when we get more in tune with our energy, then the men can be the masculine. So that's what it's so important to do. And I'm happy that you are also doing it.
Yeah, it's funny. I love that. I love hearing and I love knowing that we're not. Sometimes we feel like in this kind of business, if you want to say it's a spiritual business, but it sometimes feels, it can feel lonely. You could feel like you're the only one thinking that, and then when you have this beautiful communication that we're having, we're like, yes, I'm not alone in this. I know. And I very much pull out energy. This is if you want to say law of attraction,
Yeah.
that's what my intention is, to call in more. I don't like to say like-minded in that I'm small and I can only have a conversation one way, but enough that I can continue to grow and
Yes.
remember that we're not alone in this thinking, in this shift, because sometimes the thought process is, very much in the United States right now, we're dealing with, I don't know in your area, but we're dealing with cancel culture. And if you don't think my way, then you're crazy or you're against. And I don't believe that, but it becomes very shut down. There's not a lot of open space for authentic connection and communication because there's so much fear. There's a fear of shifting. And so let's shut it down so that I'd rather have a conversation where someone doesn't agree with me, though this is really lovely to be on the same page, but it's okay if you don't agree with me. And I'm not going to force you to think my way, but let's have a conversation.
And be open to see what is happening in the conversation, because we can learn from each other and not be like, many people can be so angry when they have their meaning of things, and then it can be so overwhelming. But if we can have a conversation, calm conversation, then we can learn something, and that everything we have something to learn from everybody.
Oh, so much so. And I think what happens for myself, I know from what I walked through, I used to get very triggered, I felt unheard for a very long time. I looked at yesterday when I said I was having all those breakthroughs, looked at what am I the expert on? Like I do all these different things. I have all the different hats. I've been a teacher for 27 years. I knew what I did well. I'm a mom of 2, a wife of 26 years. But what am I an expert? Because we are all an expert at something. And really what it came down to when I looked, it's what was my story? What have I walked through? And what can I bring to others? And for me, because everyone that I attract, oh my God, that's so me. Oh, how did you know that? And what it is recovering. I always call myself a recovering perfectionist. And where I used to think a perfectionist was someone that had a high caliber and like you want the best. Perfectionism is just fear. It is the biggest form of fear there is.
Yes.
I won't do it unless I can do it right. I don't want to look embarrassed. I don't want to be shamed. I don't want to look stupid, right? So what am I the expert on because of what I've walked through? And what am I shifting is that I am an expert in leading others into how to live an authentic life as a recovering perfectionist.
Yes.
How to find your author. I had to put on hats of inauthenticity. I made choices that have shamed me or hurt me because that I had to try that on. I had to try something that wasn't me to say that's not me.
Yes.
Without judgment. When my clients work together, they very much like, never feel like you judge me. I'm like, who am I to judge you? Right. And I had to walk through things where I judged myself so badly that I could say that's not my job anymore. And it definitely is not my job to judge anyone else. But I think that's where a lot of people own the identity of what they believe as themselves. So when we dig up and have an opposing thought of a belief, they're so grounded in that's who I am that they feel that we're attacking them. where I hold my beliefs separate than me.
Yes.
And because your beliefs change all the time, they're just thoughts you think over and over.
Yeah.
So why I'm not going to be attached to my beliefs so strongly that when you have an opposing thought, you're not attacking me. You're just maybe I don't want to say attacking, but you are in conflict.
Yeah.
Contrast to my beliefs, but not to me.
No.
Because I'm a spiritual being. They're not, my beliefs come and go.
Yes. And we learn all the time. And when we learn, then we see, oh, that was my belief then. But now I know more, that I don't have to have this. And then when we are open for new things and we see that something has shifted, and you also see, like in the past, okay, the person that did something that hurted me, it was because he didn't know better. And that it doesn't have anything to do with him being bad or good or, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm like, were you listening to my conversation with my client this morning? We were talking about at some point the person feeling bad because she gives a lot. She's always giving. And then sometimes feels that it's not reciprocated, or that the other person has taken advantage. Again, like, it's very easy to judge and say, oh, they're a bad person for doing that. And I said, but if we can remember, one of my favorite foundation books is The Four Agreements. It's in such a simple way of covers everything. And I always go back to not to take things personally. And I said, if you realize, right? I do too. And when you look at this particular person, I said, if you look at the person who you think is taking advantage of you, you're taking it personally. I said, if you take yourself out of the equation, you can see that they do that with everyone, because it's who they are. It's where they are on their soul journey. They don't know more. When they know more, they can do more and do better. But right now they can't. They might be a young soul. This is where they're at right now. They maybe need to have that reaction from a lot of people before they realize that something needs to change. I said, so you're just a piece of their journey, and it's not personal. And she said, get that. She was writing it down. She goes, I got to remember that. And she knew that. It's not anything new, right? But we need to hear things many, many times so we can remember.
Yes. And that is when but sometimes it is hard for us to take it in. Like in some situations, then you take it personally. But then you don't need to take it personally that you took it personally. Just learn from it and go and do better.
We love to like I say, like, thrash ourselves, like, oh, why did I do that? I knew, right? But because I always say, you cannot be where you are without being where you were.
Yeah.
You had to be there. And then at the perfect moment, when you've had enough practice repeating the same pattern, or having the same theme, or bringing in the same kind of person, whether it be a husband, mother, brother, right, that has the same theme, like, why do I keep doing this? Because you cannot ride a two-wheel bicycle before you can even walk. And then you need to have training wheels, and then you need to ride that for a while, like, without the shame of, well, why couldn't I? Because we couldn't. If we could have, we would have.
Yes, that's so true. It's so true. And this was something that I spoke with one client yesterday. It is about, you have to start with yourself first. You have to go in and work with yourself first, because if you're not working with yourself, then it can't start to shift in your energy.
It's always about us, right?
Yeah.
One of my first channel messages, there was quite a few that came my first. I have journals and journals I write with my angels. And one of the first was, it's always about you and it's never about you. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? It's always about you. But my clients, they coin this cute thing. They call them genisms, because they'll repeat things that I've said because they came through as, and sometimes now they're parts of my cards. They're actually the messages on my cards. And other times I just say it because it's come through, but it's always about us and it's never about us. And so you can look at both sides of the coin. It's for us. What will we do with it to expand and to grow and to change? And it's not about us because it's not personal. So it's both. It's the duality every single time, but never is it personal. It's always for both.
Yes. And we can see it in two different ways. We can see it like, this is something that has happened to me, or this happened for me.
Mm-hmm. I'm laughing right now because before we started, I picked 2 cards, one from each of my decks. They're mixed together. So I have 4, but like these 2 I keep together, and I call them a hug and a tug. And one is my very first one, Angel for All Seasons, and the other one is Evolve. It's back there. Evolve, Emerge, Expand. I call her my red dress. She's my fiery. Well, here's the one that came, and I have 2 sitting right here. And this one is, real is what you make it. Your projection is your perception. And so it's this beautiful crow flying through this window. We don't know if there's glass in that pane or not. Like, does he hit that and is he stuck inside? I don't know, because there's water flowing down and there's stairs. Or does he go through? So what we believe at all times is our reality.
Yes.
So if we change our beliefs, we change our reality.
Yeah, that's powerful.
So when you were just talking about your perception, I'm like, is she connected? Does she know? I'm like, she's got her ears ringing, because that was the first one. The second one, so that's actually the tug. That's usually the second one. Those are my fiery ones. So it's like, actually they're asking, where are you projecting something that you don't like? So if you're going through your day and you're like, why is everyone being so nasty? Why are they being so, what's going on? That's where it's like, oh, what am I projecting? What's going on in here? Because if I shift it, then I shift it.
Yes.
Okay. But the second one is, a freedom comes from appreciating and embracing what you have. And so, we tend to like, that goes along with the perception. We tend to like to think that we have no freedom. Someone's taking it away, or someone's stealing something. No one. No one. I forget, I used to teach Anne Frank every year with my 8th graders. And I think it was the father who said that you cannot put doors on the mind. You cannot lock. Otto Frank, that you cannot close off. When she was like, we can't leave this room, and she had said, we can't leave here. And he said, no one can put locks on you, like on your freedom.
That it's so powerful. And it was something that I heard today in a course. It was like a person that was in the Second war, and he had found a radio in the prison. He had got a radio. So he had put it under his clothes and took it into his where he was sleeping, and that was really dangerous.
Oh, yes, it was. That was not allowed to know anything that was going on. Yeah, that was grounds for death.
Yes, and he in the middle of night he took the radio and started to get to listen to it, and then he got the message that it is peace, that it now it has been, the war is over and it is peace. And he got it and he turned the radio off and go to sleep, and he go to sleep with the understanding that it was over. And the next day he saw that the guards and didn't know that yet. So he was having that understanding long time. The other people didn't know that, but he know that he was free.
So did he find, I'm curious, did he find a peace
in him,
in the
inside of,
knowing?
yes,
In the knowing.
yeah,
Now it's funny, not funny, but that is an amazing story, because that is the best way that I can explain sometimes receiving messages, that is a knowing. Like when I tap in, connect with, some people just say higher self, God, angels, I would say angels and guides, because now I've been shown more and given more names, but it's a knowing.
yeah,
So that is an amazing story, because that is the best way that I can explain. He heard it,
yeah,
funny, not funny, but through a radio. But when we tune in, and everyone can do this, if there's any message that I would just want people to know, is that we are all connected.
yeah,
There is no special, Jen talks to angels, Heidi's getting messages. Everyone,
yeah,
everyone. We just have tuned out because things are busy and loud, and we just put our, you think about if someone's trying to talk to us and the TV is on at the same time, it becomes a fight for which is louder.
yeah,
And our world is louder right now in many
yeah,
ways, but so many people are choosing to tune in to the quiet,
yeah,
because that's where the messages are. And
yes,
that's where that peace, oh my gosh, that peace that he received, it just makes me so excited to hear that. Thank you for sharing that story,
yeah,
because I want to say we can all receive that.
yeah,
We can receive, and that's what I do. That's why I meditate every day. And I get into a place where I can receive the quiet and the freedom and the peace.
yeah. And that is so important. And that was my next question. Do you have any spiritual practice? And then you answer it.
That's how this goes, right?
Yes.
When you get heart-centered, when you connect in the collective energy frequency, right? It's like this gorgeous flow of and a infinity symbol, right? And going
Yes.
back and forth in both. Yes, I meditate every day. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it could be 3 to 5 minutes. A lot of times I like to go into meditation after I move my body. If I'm on the treadmill or I exercise and I have released, you can't just hold everything in. You have
No.
to have movement,
Yeah.
in your body. So I've recently, that's been my thing. Once I finish, just kind of drop in and sit in my smelly clothes after working out. And it's just a beautiful, because your body is not in itself. It's in itself, but it's not in your mind,
Yeah.
because you've worked, and that's a beautiful. So if anyone's trying it, try it after exercise. It's just a great way. You're not in your head trying to think so much, because you're just loose and you're kind of tired, and it's a faster way of dropping in. I wish I had known that when I tried, because I used to get stuck in my own head. I want to stop thinking, because meditation is not thinking. Meditation is, I call it like a swiping. So you allow all that gunk to come in and you just swipe it, like you just swipe across your phone, and you don't fight it. You're just, oh, okay. And you also don't give energy to it. So I might be thinking about how I have to go to the grocery store later. Instead of continuing, yes, what do I have to get? I just go, yep, I do. Swipe.
Yeah.
Right. And then I let the next thing come in and swipe. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just swiping.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can go into a deeper place and I'll have visions and connect and come out. And it's not about what you come out with. Meditation allows for a clarity in the rest of your day. So you might be driving along and you hear a song and it makes you think of something, great idea, or something that, oh my gosh, and you get excited about something that you don't connect that it was because of meditation, but it really was.
Yeah.
Because you cleared out, you like swept out your head.
Yeah. And the thing that I love with meditation is that you get, when you are in your head, you get many thoughts that comes, and then you get the gap between the thoughts, And then the creative thoughts can come more clearly to you, because you get a gap between
I like that.
what you want to do and what you can do.
I like that. There definitely is a gap. You know, it's like brushing your teeth. You wouldn't go a day without brushing your teeth,
No.
right? And that's how it is with meditation. And like I said, it can be, and you know what? Meditation does not have to be 45 minutes, an hour in silence. And I definitely do not recommend being uncomfortable. You know, I have scoliosis, so my back gives me issues at times. And there are certain ways I cannot sit, you know, that other people might say, well, that's a good breathing. Well, that doesn't work for me. For me, it's sitting up with pillows on my bed with my feet outstretched, so I'm not thinking about my body. If I'm focusing on pain, I am not focusing on receiving, and I'm not focusing on releasing, right? A mom might be busy mom who might be sitting at a table and she just made a grilled cheese for her child and she just sits quietly watching them eat it. That's meditation.
Yes.
That's being in the moment of just the gratitude, you know, of being in that quiet. And when that child is quiet for that moment, sitting, she doesn't have to go off and close her eyes and be separate. You know, it's watching a sunset or a sunrise or sitting outside. Oh, that's my biggest, if you can get outside. So it can be done in so many ways. It doesn't have to look the same. And I think I push back on anyone who says this is the right way about anything.
Yes. And when you are talking about like meditation in Norway, where I'm from, it is, we go up to the mountain hiking. And it is not, the best thing is that you have so clear air up in the mountains. So if you meditate there, then you get the crystal energy also. So that's amazing.
It is, because that's another, you just said something important. Meditation does not have to be about being still.
No.
You can be walking.
Yeah.
Right? Riding a bike. You're like, oh, I just got a resonance. I just got chills to say yes, 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 say that. So someone needs to hear that. It does not have to be what has been said, where you sit in silence, and that's not, it can be through a favorite song. So many times I've gotten in my car in the past and a song will start playing on my radio. And I'm like, I don't like that song, or my phone will start to play instead of my car. And I tried to change, you know, as I'm thinking about something recently, tried to change a song. I'm like, why is that? I don't even know why that's playing, but I know enough now because I get clear enough that I was like, oh, all right, I'll listen to it. And sure enough, I heard the song a million times before, but the lyrics of the song were giving me a message to something that had been happening within me, with a conflict with someone. It was not important, except the message was coming through.
Yeah.
I was like, but I know, because if we don't know to listen, if we don't know to stop, then we can't receive it.
No, that's so true. And the funny thing was that the story that I was telling you about, if I didn't go and listen to that lecture, I couldn't tell you that story now. It's
and how beautiful. It's that flow, right? It's that flow, that connective, and that just, you know, it brings me back. I will tell you the very first time, because this is so powerful to me, if I can have someone trust the knowing. The knowing is the knowing is the connection to your God, your higher source, your angels, the universe, Gaia, however you want to call it. I will tell you, the angels do not care that we know them by name. I asked them for years in the beginning, tell me your name. And they finally, what would come out, and when I would write, is that you are so connected to knowing labels and names. When you don't need our name, we'll let you know. So I let go of having to know who was coming through, and I would know if it was strong and powerful and warrior like, or if it was soft and feminine. So I would tune into how the message was coming in. The first time I can ever know, and I can say for sure that there was a knowing, I had just lost my first child. Many people go
Oh,
through miscarriages. It was
yeah.
years ago. And my grandmother and I were very close. And I was visiting her for the first time after losing the child. And when you get pregnant, you have dreams that never come true,
Yes.
right? They still don't always come true. Even when the baby comes to earth, you create this whole story, right, in a short amount of time. And so I was grieving all of that. And I can know exactly where I was. I was coming down her stairs. I was visiting her in Connecticut. And she was at the bottom of the stairs and she was hugging me. And she just wanted to say, I'm so sorry, Jennifer, I'm so sorry. And I started sobbing, and I'm
Yeah.
hugging her and I'm sobbing. And in that moment of sobbing came this powerful knowing that the next child was coming through to the
Oh,
earth. It was like this. And I'd never had that experience where I just knew, and it didn't matter if anyone else believed that. It was so strong, I pushed her back and I still had tears streaming down my face. And I said, "It's okay, Grandma." I said, "The next child is coming." And she was so confused because I went from sobbing
yeah.
to the tears were still coming down, but I was elated. I
Yeah.
just knew. I just knew. And she's like, "Well, you know what?" I said, "No, the next one is coming. I don't have to worry." And when I got pregnant with my son, Jordan Matthew, there were some complications in the beginning. I had to take medication. Levels were off. Nothing terrible, but levels were off. And so my husband, of course, was a little fearful. And my family, well, you don't want to get too attached because this might not. I said, "It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good." It didn't matter. I talked to Mary every day. I'm like, just keep me here because this is a great place to be. I want to stay in this ease, right? And this knowing. And I knew it. And although everyone else around me was hesitant, I wished I could get them to know with the depth that I knew. And
Mm,
that brings me back. That's the first thing I thought of when you said about this person in the radio. He
yeah.
knew.
Yeah.
So if I can get people to go to that next step that you don't have to be told, you can receive it.
Mm,
That knowing is so powerful and it brings such freedom and peace and ease because you know it and you don't have to prove your truth. I just knew it to be true. And
mm.
obviously it was, but I knew it to be true.
Oh, I'm so glad and thank you so much for saying and telling me about this story. And I'm so sorry for your loss.
Oh, well, I will tell you, thank you. I will tell you because I know in me, she had such a bigger plan and she allowed, without going into personal stories that aren't mine to share, but she allowed my husband, that grief brought him to a place of healing that he would not have been brought to that quickly. She brought my next two children in. She has been with me my whole life. I've had other people see her with me. I was able to meet her in a past life regression. She has been with me and she has had purpose so much greater than to walk the earth.
Oh,
So I thank you.
mm. And because 2 years ago, or soon 2 years ago, I had a miscarriage right before Christmas, like 1 week before Christmas.
Mm.
And it was twins.
Oh, I am sorry for you too.
Yeah, and we have tried, but it hasn't yet got pregnant. And but I have a strange feeling. I'm like in between. I
Mm-hmm.
am like, I want a baby, and I don't know if I want it. And but I know that I want a baby, but I'm like in between all the
Back and
time.
forth.
Yes, because of like the things that if it's not meant to be, that I can't be so disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
So this was really personal, but yeah.
And that's what, you know what, when we get personal and it's not for the sake of likes or fake, when it's authentic, it means that someone will tune in that needs to hear that same thing too, you
Yeah.
know, from both of us. And what I am getting for you is, one, to talk with your twins.
Yeah.
Really, to talk with them, because they have soul purpose with you, even if it's not like, I talked to her my whole life. I asked her to stay with me with the new pregnancies. I've had two, you know, since then. And you can ask them to guide you in the direction, and that if the choice is to have children in this life, if that is your bigger soul contract, if that is, that they can be a part of that, that they can talk to the souls before they come here. Like, that little girl's purpose for me was not to be in the a flesh. She had a
Mm.
different purpose, and even in that pain was a purpose, you know. And I could not see that. It's been, you know, now 24, 25 years, and over the time I've seen the purpose. I did not for
Mm.
quite some time, but I call on her all the time for different purposes, so you
Mm.
can do the same. And I feel like there's something very powerful about the twins in their energy, and so you call on them for direction, for clarity, even in choices, you know. let
Yeah.
them let them work in the ethers beyond you, because you're willing. I always say life happens in the in between.
Mm.
Our life is happening in the in between, so it's a powerful place to be, including connecting to them and to have them be a part of your journey, because you
Mm.
cannot decide yet, which means no decision is going to be made. And that's
Yeah.
that's okay. That's a powerful place to be, to know that no decision has to be made yet, because
Mm.
you're vacillating, right? And so you can ask them to help and join in a decision that you're trying to get out of your head, right?
Mm.
And say, speak to the other souls. You let
Mm.
me know too
Mm.
what direction we're going.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
You're
this
welcome.
great question. Uh, for your great answer. I have, if you think about your life, what is your 5 lessons that you would say that you have learned? The greatest lessons.
That's a good question. Ooh, I got my whole left side got tingly. All right, so then I'm going to try to drop out of my head and not think, and try to feel. The first immediately is not to choose fear,
Mm.
to always choose love. Always choose love. There's two choices always. It's love or fear. It doesn't matter how complicated we get and we want to say that there's anger or resent. It's always love or fear. Could be fear of loss of control, fear of not being heard. So choose love, not fear. Perfectionism is not a way of life, but it's been my journey to learn from. Life happens for us, not to us.
Mm.
Every moment, it happens for us. We get to choose. That covers, you know, not being victim, but really it's what's for expansion. To let others live, to love others enough to let them live their life, because it's not my
Mm.
choice. You know, I want it to be a certain way, but they have their own soul contract. And so then that connects with the not taking it personally. It has to be for them.
Mm.
And that I truly know that I am a spiritual being having a human experience
Yes.
at every moment, and I get to choose. So with that, fifth comes, I get to choose the action or inaction.
Mm.
And going back to the very first one, choose from love.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Jen, what are you doing now? What is your project that you are doing? You were talking about your book. What is your book about?
Ooh. You know, that's funny, that question, because I did a really scary thing. I paid a lot of money to go to, I don't know, do you know Gabby Bernstein?
Yes.
I've been to Spirit Junkie Masterclass 1. I was supposed to go to 2, and that's when a big fiery, which is that deck, that second deck, a whole thing went down. It doesn't really matter what it was, but I was called to shift, and it came with a lot of pain and a betrayal. And I was supposed to go to the second
Yeah.
Spirit Junkie Masterclass 2, and because of what had happened at school as a school teacher, I could not go. And so I took that money and I transferred it into it's called the Bestseller Masterclass. And I was able to meet with her. It was a 2-day event with 40 other people, and it was a lot of money for that 2 days, a day and a half. And she taught us how to follow her method. And so I came home and started writing the book. And I was writing it there from a place of pain, because what had happened at that time. And again, the story is not important because everyone has a place of pain, right?
Yeah.
And so I was in that place of very much not even healing yet, still pain. And although I wasn't writing it in a negative way, it was in the energy of that, of the pain. And so I continued to write. I had about 6 chapters, outlines and quotes and the story, and I was following it. And I looked at it, it sat for 2-3 months where I wasn't going to it. And when I went back to it, it wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
Her method, I love her, but her method wasn't me. The energy of where I started it wasn't me, because I had been healing. And I did something really scary, and I hit delete on all 6 chapters. I know. And after I did, for a moment, I was like, wait, can I get them back? show me. But I know they were supposed to go. I was like, oh, and I cried. And I felt like there was such a waste, but it wasn't. It was my healing.
Yeah.
So my story that was being told was my healing, but it wasn't for anyone else. It was for me. So I let it go. And then I said, well, now what? Because I know that this was supposed to come out. I said, you've got to show me. And a couple weeks went by, nothing. And I was going to bed one night, and I got up 4:30, 5 o'clock for school so that I could meditate, have quiet time. And I say this because I was popped out of bed at about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and I spread out my first 2 decks of cards, and I got to the computer. I was just led to create 3 columns, because my second deck is called Evolve, Emerge, Expand, returning to your authentic truth, to your authentic self. And so 3 columns were set up: evolve, emerge, expand. Evolve means going in and coming back to who you are. It's not going out, it's coming in. Emerge comes out with that knowledge, and then what fears do I need to break through? And then expand is how I hold space for others, because you've gone in and found yourself, you've come out and done that deep healing, and now you're at a place where I can hold space for others. So it said evolve, emerge, expand. And this is how it went. I turned over a card. It showed me, I knew exactly which column to put it in. And so I just was typing card after card after card after card, right? Before I knew it was 2 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't tired. I was typing it all out. And what they're showing me, and this is how I'm writing it, it is so much fun. It is choose your own adventure for adults, for personal development. So I'm writing the book across. It all fits, it all flows. I write the evolve going in, and then I go to the next section, and it's, if you like that, you can go deeper into emerge. And if you like that, you could go to the next one, which is expand. Or you can read it all in a row, because they'll all be connected going downwards too. So at the end of every chapter, it says, if you like this, you can go to this section. So if someone doesn't want to read books, but they just need a piece of inspiration of where they're at, they can open anywhere in the book and read that section, and it can stand alone. Or they can connect it.
Wow. That's powerful.
And fun. And it's fun to do too.
Are you do you have many chapters left, or?
I have about half left. I have half left right now. So there's 15 sections altogether. So it goes across and it goes down. Each time it's like working on a grid. I make sure that the one above it will flow into and the one next. And it's fun. I don't know how else to say it. There's no more pressure on this must be this certain look. I'm writing through my voice, which is quirky sometimes and dorky and spiritual and connected. But I was writing before. So this is for anyone else listening. If you're writing or creating, don't create for anyone else. I taught reading and language for 27 years. So I love language, but I was writing it to make it sound beautiful. And it did sound beautiful, but I didn't have me in there. This is me.
Thank you so much for telling me that. And I think many people need to understand that when you are writing a book, then you have to find your voice in it. And when we have healed, like first we have to write the story, and then we have to read what we have written, and after that, then we can write the story, because we have to filter. Because the first it's like the pain, and we can't write from the pain.
Well, there's a perfect example. I was writing from the pain because I was like, well, now what? But I know this is the evolve, emerge, expand is so huge. It was so, and again, there's no right way. For me, many people will put, they'll make but Gabby's first thing, she wrote a couple books and then she made cards that she sold. Mine came out in the messages and the cards. When I first started, this is actually my very first, it happens to be down here. This is the very first journal that I started writing. They're all angel messages from my angels through here, right? And so when I was asking at one point, going to my coach, it was years ago now, what am I supposed to write about? And my angels kept saying, we're your story. I'm like, I'm not writing about angels. No one, they're gonna think I'm crazy. No one's gonna buy. First of all, people buy books about angels all the time, but I kept arguing, right? And what I finally got was just keep journaling, just keep writing with us, and then you'll know. Stop worrying about how it's going to be. Just write and heal you. Do you. And I was like, oh, I was driving the car, and it was funny and true. I always say it's about music, right? So as I got it, I was like, oh, and I went on my way to my coach. I'm like, oh, all right. I'll stop the pressure and I'll just continue to journal and connect with my angels. And the next song that came on was from, I wasn't playing from my phone, was from a playlist from Gabby Bernstein's Spirit Junkie 1. And it's one of my favorite songs, which is the Alleluia. But my angels were being cheeky. They were like, Alleluia, she finally got it. I'm like, I hear you. I know what you're doing. I knew what that message was. It wasn't like, oh, it wasn't beautiful. And the song was beautiful. But I'm like, you're being cheeky. My angels are cheeky with me all the time. They're like, finally, like how many times are we going to tell this woman? And she finally is listening.
Yes. Where, Jennifer, can people find you?
Oh, well, we're already finding me, right? I have a website. I have and I can give that to you if you want to attach it. It's actually just jenkupcho.com. So it's www.jenkupcho.com. So that's probably I haven't updated it recently, but you can get to me by emails there, by Facebook groups, by Instagram. So everything is linked in there. So although it needs a little zhuzhing up, you can find me. So it's jenkupcho.com. And that's the best way because that will lead you. It's got all my other links to Instagram and YouTube. And we found, YouTube too. Also, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on YouTube. And we found each other through the Authentic Connection. That's my most recent, where I'm collaborating and that's an open group, men or women, and where we want to make authentic connections like this.
Yes. do you have like a final message for the listeners that has listened today? What do you want to say to them?
This was easy. As I started to try to think, I get bypassed and I channel immediately. You're the key. You're the key. You're the golden cog. You are the center of it all. You are, and I'm lit up as I'm saying this. It's a yes, because I'm like, immediately this happens in the duality. I'm going, okay, what am I gonna? And it was like, boom, here you go.
Yeah.
Hand this to them right now.
Yeah.
Listen with your heart. Do not listen with your head. Get out of your head, drop into your heart, and then connect the two. But get out of your head for now, get into your heart, and know that you are the center. Someone could drop you on an island with no music, no crystals, no oils, no pens. No, you are still the center of your own freedom, your own connection. That's all you need is you. And then they'll lead you to, if you want to call in a coach, or if you want to call, I mean, don't get me wrong. I will never, I say it takes a village to raise me. I will always have coaches and mentors. I will pay for them for their good work, but I am the key. I call them in, and don't listen to anyone but you. I say that to my clients sometimes. I'll never give advice. We'll share and we'll connect. And I said, but never listen to me if it is not of your highest good. Always listen to yourself.
Are you there? Still there?
Oh, I'm still here. Oh, I don't know. I lost you for a second there.
Yeah, it
but
was
listen to you.
Something with the internet. But you said,
never
listen to me.
I do. It sounds crazy. Yeah, it sounds crazy because here you are saying, right? You're saying, what would you have to say? And I'm going to say, I joke, but I always say, listen to yourself first. Yeah. Listen to yourself. If I say something that's in contrast to what you believe, then believe that. Let yourself know that I'm the contrast, right? Trust yourself over anyone. That comes with healing, mind you. So when I say you're the key and you're the golden cog, but do the healing. Bring in the people that you need. I'm talking to whoever's listening. Do the healing that you need. I will never be done healing. I will never be done.
It has been such an amazing journey this evening with you, Jen. So happy that you could come to my podcast. I am just as blessed and honored. It's an even, right? We're on that same. I'm like, what a beautiful conversation. That's what feeds my soul, gets me thinking. Your questions were amazing. Your stories are amazing. I get to leave with a story that is very powerful, that story, to hold on to that radio. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Equally is back. My heart is full. I worked with a medicine woman last year that said she's from a native tribe, and she'd say, I've eaten, my heart is full. Oh, that was really beautiful. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful night.